You're listening to Gameday Tarps podcast, coast to coast, with your hosts, Riley, Dakota, Dallas, Dayton, and Wilbs.
Welcome back to the Gameday Tarps podcast. I'm your host, Dayton. That's Riley, and that's Wilbs. And today, this is our 2024 NHL Draft Special. And today, we'll be quickly going over the NHL awards and their winners. But the main talking points are the draft and the top 10. And a quick shout out to our draft picks winner. It would be me.
Domination.
We all had
Pure
a little
domination.
We all had a little bet going on. We each threw $10 in, and whoever had the most picks right, or the closest amount of picks right in the top 10, would win that prize money. And it was me. So congrats to me. But moving on, boys, let's go over the winners real quick. And no surprise here, in my opinion. No surprise starting off. The Hart Trophy winner is Nathan MacKinnon. Riley's got his hands over his face, and I want to know why.
Okay. Nathan MacKinnon had an unreal year. I don't want to disrespect Nathan MacKinnon. He is not by saying, oh, he's a bad hockey player, none of that. But we had two guys who got 100 assists in the season to only become the fourth and fifth players ever to do that. And one of them led the league in scoring, was a part of 40% of his team's goals. And they barely were a second wildcard team because of how good he played. Nathan MacKinnon played fantastic. The Colorado Avalanche were a better team in the standings because he played for them, but they were a playoff team if he missed half the year. The Tampa Bay Lightning, if Kucherov missed 10 games, they were not a playoff team. That is how dominant he was for his team. It's most valuable player to his team. And Kucherov was doing everything he could to will the Lightning to the playoffs. And I just think that was worthy of MVP. Like, MacKinnon had a good year, but it was like kind of middle of the road. He almost had 100 assists. That's still really good. He had, 52 goals or something, I think. He was like 94 and 52 or something.
It was pretty insane numbers. But I think I don't know, maybe the NHL has something against Kucherov. You remember at the skills competition when he was just, and maybe the fans and the NHL after that started to
maybe they don't want to reward him for that for sure.
Exactly. I don't know. I don't think that's
100%
it, but it could be a theory. What are your thoughts, Wilbs?
I honestly, don't get me wrong. I love MacKinnon. I think the league really loves, MacKinnon. There's a certain type of players that they love. But I do have to say that, Kucherov, it definitely got snubbed from this award, I think. I think Kucherov really showed, he's been dominant for years. And, obviously the league loves MacKinnon, loves Crosby, loves McDavid. So you see them win the awards most of the time. But based off your all-star point, you're not far off. Maybe that might be the reason why Kucherov did not get this award. Obviously, any of those guys could be deserving of it. As much as you could say Kucherov might have deserved it more, there's so many good players in the league, and as much as Kucherov might have deserved to win, I'm happy to see MacKinnon get it.
Can I just talk about the disrespect that McDavid got too, though? He got one first place vote among the players. One.
Yeah, that's crazy.
First ballot. That's it.
Crazy.
He had 100 assists, and then he goes on and torches the entire NHL in the playoffs. Obviously, playoffs don't count. I know that. But, one first place vote, I'm surprised that it was so... MacKinnon had 137 first place votes. And I think Kucherov had 50, and then McDavid had 1. It was so dominant. And again, not to knock MacKinnon, but I've been saying all year, Matthews isn't really that good. But Matthews still scored almost 70 goals. Sam Reinhart scored 67. These guys were right there in terms of goal scoring. Like, how was it that I'm just wondering, okay, in a year where this was maybe the best Hart Trophy race ever, why was it so one-sided is my question. Why was it just dominated in the voting?
I don't know. I think it might just be bias, but like North American bias.
I think potentially it could be biased. Like it just seems that way with award shows and stuff like that, and it's just like it just takes away the fun out of it, and like it just surprises me because McDavid right now is one of the best players on the planet right now. One of the best players on the planet, and he only gets one first place vote for that. Like, are you fucking kidding me? I'm sorry,
And I think
but
you can't
that's
vote
just
for your
wrong.
teammate. I think so. You can't vote for your teammate. So that's why, like, the whole Edmonton Oilers team couldn't vote for him. But that also means that the entire Colorado Avalanche team basically voted for Kucherov and not for McDavid or Matthews or whoever they voted for, right? Like,
Yeah. I don't know. It doesn't make sense. I guess the point that you brought up, like the Kucherov just like completely did dominate. But I don't know. Let's move on, boys,
let's move on.
to the Ted
If
Lindsay.
Dallas was here, if Dallas were able to be here tonight, it would be so heated. He was just clowning me the whole time as soon as that happened. He's like, F McDavid, McKinnon's the best. Kucherov sucks, like just going at me. And I was just like, man, that's just crazy.
Yeah, Riley, you want to take the next one away?
Sure. I will just note, too, that for the first time since 1989, the NHL and the NBA MVPs are from the same city, with Jokic and McKinnon winning it in Denver. Last time was Gretzky and Magic Johnson.
Wow,
so that's kind of crazy. Of all these years, that's the first time that's happened.
Crazy.
Since then. Let's go to the North. I mean, there's no real question mark here. As the heart was kind of torn, there was no question. Quinn Hughes deserved his first Norris. Cale Makar is continuously going to be in that conversation. Probably Roman Yossi's, maybe, I don't know, maybe his last year in the top three, maybe not. He's still a stellar defender. But to me, it was Quinn Hughes' turn. I mean, the guy played fantastic first year as captain. He was just dialed in the whole year.
I think he was the clear shot winner the whole season.
Yeah, both defenders are great defenders, Cale Makar and Quinn Hughes, but I think it's Hughes' year this year for sure. But it's going to be between those two for a long time, and maybe add even Evan Bouchard in that conversation if he had the year like he had, because it just seems like his future is promising too. So it's great to see all these guys getting their chance.
True. Who wants to take the Vezina Trophy, boys?
Oh, buddy. That's so let me tell you about Connor Hellebuyck here.
Oh, here we go. Here we go.
Is a American-made brick wall. And this guy, like, if you watch him before the game, like, if you go over, like, Connor Hellebuyck tape, like, watch his, like...
Yeah, the eyes.
He's one of those guys. He's, like, got the... His rituals, like, his pregame stuff is, like, out of this world. And, like, ever since, like, Carey Price, I've always admired goalies that are, like, calm in the crease. And Connor Hellebuyck is calm in the crease. And he's just, like, a good all-around goaltender. And, like, I'm very, very pleased with this pick.
If this was if this was a playoff award, it wouldn't have been him. That was not a great first round by him. But regular season wise, though, he was fantastic. He was solid, very well deserving based off of his regular season performance. I think that was very, very exceptional from Connor Hellebuyck. You can't go wrong with it.
The Jets don't make the playoff if he's not in there.
No.
Yeah, exactly.
And can I just say, not only am I happy Hellebuyck won this because he deserved it, but how happy I am that Ilya Bryzgalov, we were talking about him before the podcast, Sergei Bobrovsky. How happy I am that Sergei Bobrovsky did not win a third, because if he won a third, he would have been in some of the rarest company in NHL history, and he is not that guy. He's a fantastic goalie this year, but he is not a Hall of Fame legendary goaltender. I will say it right now. You cannot put him up there with the Waz and the Hashicks and the Brodeurs. Like, he had a terrible first 2/3 of his career. He's only had about 5 really good years. He backstopped some terrible Columbus teams to earn himself some Vezinas, like when he was playing fantastic and the team still sucked. But he has had more bad years than good years. He either wins the Vezina or he's not a good goalie. Like, that's what it's been.
Yeah. But, like, we've had this conversation on a couple of the podcasts, and I kind of would have liked to see it happen. Just for the giggles.
Just for the giggles.
Just for the giggles.
Oh, I'm just glad it didn't. I'm happy for Hellebuck. Guy deserved it. He had a great year.
Yeah, honestly, props to him.
The Calder. I'm happy it went this way to Connor Bedard. Even when he was injured, no one really caught up to him. He came back. It was close. It was like, oh, Brock Faber's right behind him because of how many minutes he's playing and how well he's playing defensively. And then he came back and he was like, just kidding. It's not even a question.
Yeah, this is my trophy.
All right, boys, let's jump to the 2024 NHL draft. It was humongous. This is the most trades we've ever seen before a draft, in the draft, after the draft. The craziest top 10 we have witnessed in years, where literally no one could predict it except for Dayton Camo over here.
Yeah,
he's the only
6 for
one.
10.
6 out of 10 in the top 10. Dallas was 1. I was 3. I think Wilbs was 3.
Yeah,
Dakota
3.
was 2. Maybe one of us was 4, Wilbs. One of us had 4. I think it was you. You had 4. I had 3. Dakota had 2. And Dallas only had 1. And that 1 being Macklin Celebrini. Like, that is how wild this top 10 went. Like, we all basically went off the predictions fairly close. And even then, it was a crapshoot.
I know.
Like,
I threw in someone that I didn't think was actually gonna make it, and it.
Is it Saleyev? You nailed Saleyev too.
Yeah, Saleyev.
Yeah, I nailed him as well.
Yeah, we all
No,
nailed
actually,
him.
no, I don't think I did, because
You did.
Oh,
I think.
I thought I had him third. No, I had him third.
You had him third. Sorry, me and Will.
It was yeah. But anyways, boys.
Let's talk some trades.
Yes, sir.
Let's talk about underwhelming trade. We had the big fish on the market in net, Linus Allmark, get traded to the Ottawa Senators, but only getting in return Eunice Korpisalo, Mark Kastelik, and a first-round draft pick, with Ottawa retaining 25% of the contract. And the first-round pick was not number 7 overall. It was their later number 25, which Boston sent to Detroit for Tyler Bertuzzi, who then was traded, and that pickup moved to Ottawa for Alex DeBrincat. And now that pick is being traded back to Boston full circle for them to make their selection at 25 the way they always were going to. So they lost Allmark for something that they gave up, which they have no asset for now. Like, they don't have Tyler Bertuzzi. He's gone. So they gave up Allmark literally for nothing, basically.
It was a huge, huge fleece by Ottawa. I'll say that much.
Yep.
Kastelik.
This to me puts Ottawa in the playoffs next year. This gives Brady Tkachuk a netminder to make a run to the playoffs.
Dude.
And we'll go more into that. If everyone watching doesn't know, right after this, we are doing a 2024 free agency special where we will also be breaking down the free agency. Man, is that wild too. So we're going to have that, and you will see why I think Ottawa is jumping into the top 4 teams in the Atlantic, but we'll break that down in a minute. But go ahead, talk about Mark Kastelik like you were there, Dayton.
Oh, no, I'm just like, there's not much to say about him.
Yeah. Like, fourth liner.
That's all.
It's more about the goaltender deal, and I don't know. We'll see how Korpisalo does in Boston, but I don't think the only time he's really had a moment was that overtime against Tampa.
Yep. Let's continue the bad trades right after that, because this one no one understands. No one still understands to this day. The Detroit Red Wings sent Jake Wallman and a 2024 second round pick to San Jose just for blank future considerations, which we know means nothing, which we know means there's no return. Like maybe they'll send a bag of pucks as a thanks, right? Like, but so what happened that Jake Wallman went from being the guy who gets a gritty bobblehead as he's doing the gritty on the ice, he gets a bobblehead for it, to all of a sudden he's shipped out and they have to put a second round pick with him to do that? Like, what?
And he had a great year last season. He had a really great year. Like,
Yeah.
ESPN fantasy legend. He wasn't on my team, but he was. I had some fantasy legends on mine, but Wallman had a great year. So I don't really understand. I don't understand this move.
He's our third best defender, and they just let him go for future considerations and lost a draft pick in it.
Do you guys know who Zach Bell is? Like Always Hockey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He commented on the post of the trade because he's a big Wings fan. And he said, I hope future considerations get gritty.
That's true. Oh, that's good. But Detroit wasn't done either, because immediately after that, this is more of a future trade, but they traded Andrew Gibson to Nashville for Jeski Kiskinen, I think is how you pronounce it, and a second round pick in the 2024 draft as well. Like, what?
Again, another trade that doesn't make sense. Like,
sorry.
Gibson.
Let me rephrase that. Nashville sent the second round pick and Kiskinen, which then that second round pick was immediately flipped to San Jose with Wallman. Sorry, I read these trades backwards, but go ahead, Wolves.
What I was saying is that Gibson is a strong defenseman. It just doesn't make sense. Like, obviously, like, we'll see what happens, but that's another trade that just does not make sense to me. Like, Gibson has a promising future. He's proved to be that guy, and I feel like he's going to have a breakout season next year. Like, I've watched his game grow, and he's a great defenseman. I watched him at the Bud, scored 2 goals against my team. But at the end of the day, it's like you have to appreciate greatness when it's right in front of you, and that's, as a fan, for me, that's what I do. And when I saw Gibson get booted from Detroit and go to Nashville, I'm like, how does this make any sense? He's solid. Like, I don't know what Yzerman's plan is here, but we'll see where it goes.
I don't know. This next trade makes the Wallman trade. The Yzer plan. This next trade, Vancouver and Chicago, makes his trade look even more confusing. The Canucks ditch Ilya Mikheyev's contract, which is way worse than Jacob Wallman's. They also move Sam Lafferty, who's an unrestricted free agent, his rights. And yes, they also tack on a second round pick, but in 2027. And then they still at least get a 2027 fourth round pick back. They at least got a pick back in their ditching of salary cap. And it wasn't an immediate pick. Like, I don't know. To me, it's still like just such a baffling trade.
Yeah, I don't know. That's
and the Canucks did retain 15% of Mikheyev as well. True. I forgot to mention that. But still. Too bad Dakota's not here. Would have loved to have him here for this. But his Flames trade Andrew Mangiapane to the Washington Capitals for a 2025 second round draft pick. So for me, I love Mangi. I thought that was a tough one for them to lose. I know it's a part of their kind of rebuild, but he's right in that window. He's like a 26-year-old guy who by the time they're competitive again would be like 31, 32. I don't see why he had to go. But, I mean, he wasn't in the last year of his deal, so I get cashing in on the asset. But I don't know. To me, he was one of their better players. He's very gritty. He's kind of the guy that you want to build around as like a second, third line rotation guy who has lots of energy. So I didn't like this trade just from Calgary's perspective.
Yeah,
I think it's a good I think it's a good move for Washington. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
after that one move they made, I'm just like, well, they're gonna have to see where they go from there. When I saw Magny Pawnee getting traded to Washington, I think that's a huge move for them.
Yep.
Yeah, they definitely have some depth. They might be trying to load up so Ovi can get some passers to pass him the puck next year.
So he could beat Gretzky's record.
True.
Yeah, exactly.
They announced this just before the draft, which is big news. CHL and USA hockey national team, they have created a challenge between CHL and USA prospects. It's going to be a 2-game series featuring the NHL draft-eligible Canadian players versus the top U.S. players from the National Team Development Program. So this is also sounding like a gateway that is going to open the doors for the CHL players to finally be allowed to go to the university ranks once their CHL career ends, or earlier if they choose to.
But I think that's really exciting. I think it's good for both because, a lot of players decide that they want to go to the States, and we miss out on good opportunities to see other players in the Ontario Hockey League based off of where they want to go. Obviously, it's their choice, whatever. But I think this is huge, and this challenge is really reminded me of the Subway Series that they used to have between the CHL and Russia. Obviously, got removed, but this seems a whole lot sweeter, and I think it's going to get a whole lot better. And it's a huge win for the CHL and huge win for the NCAA.
I do miss the Canada-Russia series. That was good.
Yeah, that was
so
awesome.
Good. Always so scrappy. They hated each other every time. Such good hockey. All right, gentlemen. Here we go. That was the pre-draft, the trades, everything leading up to it. We have the 2024 NHL draft. Here it is. Let's break it down. Number 1 overall, to no one's surprise, Macklin Celebrini.
I don't think anyone was more excited than that Sharks fan that was at the draft. I mean, let's go for 5 fucking minutes.
He was hollering, man. He was so loud, and the TV picked up all of it. He's just screaming his head off. Oh, that was so funny.
Not even 10 minutes, people start tweeting at the guy's fucking famous. Like,
I know. But again, it was the one Sharks fan in the country. At least he went to the draft.
He was living it up. It's Vegas.
Yeah, he wasn't that far. It's only like a couple hours.
Yeah, wasn't that bad.
Flight. Oh, yeah.
But what is our thoughts on Celebrini? I mean, he's incredible. This kid, I think he's going to be special this year. They've already signed Will Smith, they announced previously. So, this team is all of a sudden full of youngsters, full of talent, and ready to make mistakes, but also try to make a name for themselves.
I think they have a really great future core. I was listening to Casper Altonen's interview the other day at camp, and he's been playing on a line with Celebrini, which is kind of cool to see because London Knights alum making a huge boost. Who knows where he's going to end up? But they have a good core with Haltonen, Smith, all these guys, and I'm looking forward to see how they do.
Yep.
And they just got Jake Wallman.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I mean, that just bolsters their back end even more, too.
Getting the gritty in California.
All right, number 2 overall, Chicago Blackhawks pick Artem Levshunov from Michigan State. I wasn't surprised. I know nothing about this kid. I'm not going to pretend like I'm some scout who knows about this kid. And I knew all I kept seeing was that he was going 2nd overall on pretty much everyone's draft board for the most part. So I followed that. I said, okay, this kid's going 2nd overall. I only got 3 picks right, and 2 of them were Macklin and Levshunov. So, but at least I figured based on what everyone was saying, when there's that much smoke, it's bound to be something that comes true, I think, when it's that level.
Right.
Yeah. But again, again, it's a really stacked draft. You really can't go wrong on who goes in the top 10, really, unless you know that there's like a bigger guy there. But it's for your needs. And, Lashinov is a big, big defender who will lay the body, has an absolute incredible slap shot. Him and Korchinski on the same D pairing, more than likelihood, is going to be nuts. Like the draft was saying, that's probably what's going to be going on there. And, man, that's going to be insane to see.
Little Keith and Seabrook action going on. A little bit offensive defenseman in Korchinski / Keith, and then the shutdown guy in Levshunov and Seabrook's style. Like, I think that's what they went for. I think that they wanted their good old days. They have their Jonathan Tays. They think they might have their Patrick Kane type guy, maybe in a Frank Nazar or Oliver Moore. And now they have their two stud defensemen in Korchinski and Levshunov.
They think they're set.
They think so. But right here, gentlemen, pick 3 to 15 was absolute mayhem. Complete mayhem. This is where it got so fun. No one, and I mean no one, I'm sitting here watching the draft live as I'm unpacking my house because I just moved. I'm sitting here watching it, and all of a sudden, number 3, Anaheim Ducks, they have so many good players to choose from. They have so many names everyone's been talking about. Out of the speaker comes Beckett Seneca. Sorry.
Seneca.
What a shot in the dark for Beckett Seneca.
His reaction.
He was shocked.
His reaction was my reaction when I saw that. I'm like, holy fuck. Did this actually fucking happen? Because I'm like, you have Demidov on the board. You have Lindstrom on the board. Like, you have all these guys. I'm like, I feel like Demidov's going to go here. And then Seneca gets picked. And I'm like, again, these managers see something in these kids. And I mean, some people might be like an expert and just be like, oh, this is not a good pick. This is a reach. He should have gone later. But GMs see shit. They know things. They talk to players throughout the entire year. So obviously Seneca was on Anaheim's radar, obviously. Like, we don't know these behind the scenes things. He could have done incredible in the interviews. He could have done incredible at the combine. You just don't know. Like, that's why it's like, as much as I think it's like, you have better players on the, board, you got to remember that these GMs know what they're doing. You think picks that you are so surprised to see, like Easton Cowan going in the first round. I did not expect it, but did he deserve it? Absolutely. He showed it this past season that he deserved it. So I'm not there to judge anybody. I'm not there to judge any of the players. I think it's well-deserved from Beckett. Had an incredible year, had an incredible playoffs. Who knows what would have happened in the OHL finals if he was not injured. Like, I wish I actually got to see him play, to be honest, in the finals. I was there for 3 of the 4 games. But then again, he's a great player, and he's going to do great things.
And I don't want to disrespect him either, but of the top 10, we'll go through them all, but of the top 10, he's like one of 3 guys I don't see making the team out of camp of all these names. Like, if they had a chance to make the team out of camp, I feel like he's one of the guys who wouldn't make it. And that, to me, is just really weird for a 3rd overall pick.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like, developing is so important, so important. You don't want to get rushed. You need to get developed just right. And these teams need to understand how to do that, because let's say Seneca rushes into the league and the Ducks say, hey, you're ready, let's go. It might ruin his development, which I'm hoping that won't be the case. But again, it does seem very likely that he will be back with the Oshawa squad. I could see it happen. I know it's rare to see a top 3 pick, go back to the former club, but that's how I see it.
Yeah.
I just keep seeing that one clip of him going coast to coast and then somehow tucking it in
Yeah.
I don't know, beautiful goal. Great skater, great goal scorer.
Talented, no doubt about it.
I just don't know if I would have picked him.
Yeah. There was rumors that Montreal was interested in him at 5, though, as well, as Wilbs noted.
They got the right guy.
Well, let's work our way there. Number 4. I was surprised as well. I had this guy top 10, but Caden Lindstrom, 4th overall, Columbus Blue Jackets. I mean, you got Fantilli, Lindstrom, Kent Johnson as future centermen. Like, okay, as good as that is, I'm also wondering for Columbus, like, there was Yakimchuk, Harek, Bouillon, Dickinson, all available, and they already had 2 centermen that they drafted top 5, and they yet again went with another centerman in the top 5. Well, I think Kent Johnson's getting traded, no doubt about it. In my mind, I don't think, but like at some point, you got to fill out the rest of your team.
Exactly. And there's also a rumor going around that Sam Dickinson was going to go to Columbus. So there's a ton of rumors everywhere for players where they might end up. But that's a very valid point that they have a lot of centermen and they have to work around their prospect pool around everywhere. It can't just be one position, just like the Toronto Maple Leafs going for forwards. They got to get defense from time to time. So,
yep.
Well, it's not Yarmo anymore, so maybe they're going to have some better luck.
True. I mean, they got Don Waddell in there. And you know what? This is a Don Waddell pick, though. A defensively responsible big forward, a Jordan Stahl type forward. Exactly who he went after. And, I mean, yeah, I don't know. I like Caden Lindstrom. I don't not want to disrespect him and say that this was a bad pick because I think he could have went even 3rd overall. He's so good. But I just think that Columbus's organizational depth needs, like, you know, they do have I guess they have Jurček and Matejčuk. Like, I guess they do have some good defenders as well. It's just all of a sudden they were stacked up at center specifically. But, I mean, Lindstrom he's a heck of a player. There's no denying that whatsoever.
For sure.
Take it away, number 5, Dayton. It's all yours.
Yep.
Okay, good. So, Montreal, they got their guy. Ivan Demidov, number 5, exactly who I wanted them to get. He put up more goals in the same league as Kaprizov and Kucherov, and he's lighting it up right now. He's lighting it up, and I just have nothing more to say than I'm glad. Oh, also, the last guy to put up more than 70 points in Montreal was a Russian.
Yep. Here we go. Correlation.
Here we go.
It was also nice to see Celine Dion make that announcement on the mic. We had a couple of special guests at the draft this year.
But it was slow, man. Like, it was cool that it was Celine Dion, but she was so slow. It was painful.
I
didn't even see it. I haven't even seen the video yet.
Yeah, you got to go back and watch it, man. She was so slow. Nowhere was it Phillies? Philly used like legendary boxing announcer as their pick selector, and that was legendary.
Look, ready to rumble. Yeah, it was Philly. Yeah, it was Philly.
Yeah, so theirs was sick.
Like a certain one?
No. Well, I mean, okay, so like San Jose used Jumbo Joe Thornton just for fun. Chicago, I don't think they used one. Anaheim,
they used
Bedard.
Oh, yeah, they used Bedard. Anaheim used. Did Anaheim use anyone? No, I don't think that they did.
I don't think they did.
So either Rick Nash was for Columbus. Celine
London
Dion
Knights legend, baby. Yeah.
And now who are on Utah was their owner because they really don't have an organization yet. They have their general manager, but they let the owner make the pick. I thought he was going to announce their winning name for next season. I really thought that he was going to, and I felt really disappointed that he didn't. And the double disappointment, especially for Dakota, because who does he select but Tej Iginla from the Kelowna Rockets, 6th overall. I mean, what a pick. Incredible player. Definitely deserves that spot. But, man, did we ever want to see him go to the Flames.
But you know what, though? You know what? A cool thing, though, is that Jerome McGinley and Shane Doan both played for Kamloops, and now Tidge is playing with Josh Doan, and they're playing as teammates. So that's kind of a little bit of deja vu, but That's still cool. That's very cool.
Next pick, Dayton, we have to give you full props for it because no one else in the group even had this guy in their top 10, and you just nailed it on the head. 7th overall, Ottawa Senators, Carter Yakimchuk.
Ooh, he's a big, solid defenseman from the WHL, and that's exactly a big right-hand shot defenseman too. I will add, and that's what teams look for. Hard to come by. A big right-hand D, and he plays a great two-way game.
Did anyone see him being the second defender taken off the board, though?
No.
Like, that's crazy.
I couldn't see that. I know he was going to go first round for sure, probably definitely in the top 20s, but I did not expect him to go that high. But he is a great player, I will say that.
Mm-hmm. All right, number 8.
I expected it.
Yeah, you did. You nailed that one, man. You nailed this one, too. Berkeley Catton to the Seattle Kraken at 8th overall. Man,
the Kraken have an absolute insane prospect pool. Probably the best in the National Hockey League right now. Like, these names like Carson Rakoff, David Goyette, Edward Saleh, the list just goes on. And then adding Berkeley Catton, who had a phenomenal WHL year, watched him play in the Halinka U18s and stuff like that. He is a very good performer. Like, it's very deserving that he goes here, and to be with a lot of big names on the Seattle prospect pool radar, man, going to be exciting, and hopefully get to see him play for the World Junior team in Ottawa, because he is that guy.
Yep.
Yeah, I definitely think being so close, Spokane and Seattle, where he plays in the WHL, it would create a very easy way for them to build a bond, like throughout his last year of junior. So I feel like it felt kind of like already home to him.
Yeah, I think, and they could scout him more than anybody else, just down the road.
Exactly. Perfect.
Number 9, Dakota's Calgary Flames. The guy he did not want at this pick. It wasn't that he didn't want him. He just wanted another player other than he wanted Iginla first. Then he wanted Sam Dickinson, and he gets Zane Parekh. To me, is a great pick still. I mean, this kid was lights out this year. Absolute point-producing defender that comes very rare in NHL drafts. And here he was, and I thought it was a great pick.
Another guy that could have won the Memorial Cup MVP. Like, he was, other than Owen Beck, if I had to pick, it would be Zane Parekh. He had a phenomenal tournament, had a phenomenal playoffs, phenomenal regular season. Obviously, still disappointed in London, but, like I said, appreciate greatness while it's in front of you. Appreciate while it's in front of you. And Zane Parekh, it's going to be a great player. It's going to be great.
Yeah, I just think his size is what kept him at the bottom of the top 10.
Yeah, and I noted in one of our podcasts before the draft that I could see him dropping out of the top 10 because of his size. Like, it's just very common, and he almost did. Calgary has been not afraid to take a chance on small players, Johnny Gaudreau and stuff like that, right? Andrew Mangiapane, who we just talked about getting traded. So I think that it was fitting that Calgary was one of the teams who took a chance on him for sure. All right, number 10. Maybe the guy who was the most scattered on everyone's draft board, Anton Saleyev to the New Jersey Devils. I saw him at 2. I saw him at 3. I saw him at 5. I saw him at 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I saw him at 20 to 25. I saw him in the 40s. I saw him all over the place, depending on whose draft rankings you looked at. He was everywhere, and here he goes, number 10 to New Jersey.
Yeah, I did not think I was going to get that pick right. I just kind of put on a limb and kind of guessed where he was going to go. I think that's what everyone did, to be honest with you.
I was like, he's got to be top 10, right?
I had him 3.
So you had him 3, but that was reasonable. Like, It's
I
just
don't know.
crazy.
I guess not. I guess it wasn't reasonable.
Number 11, the San Jose Sharks. I mean, their first 2 picks, unreal. Not only did they get Macklin Celebrini, number 1, who lots of people obviously had as the best pick, but who lots of people have as the best defender in the draft as well, ahead of Lev Shunov, ahead of Yakubchuk, ahead of Prek, ahead of Saleev. Sam Dickinson falls all the way to 11th and gets easily picked up by the San Jose Sharks. No question asked. And I was texting my brother. I said, no way the Sharks get Dickinson and Celebrini at like pick 8. I was like, no way that he falls all the way to the Sharks, right? Like, there's still 3 picks to go. And then here he is, number 11, Sharks' absolute domination of this top 11.
Don't sleep on Dickey. Do not sleep on Dickey. He was so fun to watch in the playoffs. I got to go to most of the games. Dickey was one of the best defenders I saw all playoffs long, and he was a sight to see. He was a very big sight to see, and he matured his game throughout the whole season. There's a couple of little tads that I picked up on his game. A little bit of turning over the puck a little bit, making some plays that he shouldn't have been making, but he matured throughout all season long. Like he that's what makes him such a great player. Whenever he makes a mistake, he makes sure that he corrects it and does the right moves. He does it every time, and it's just been incredible to see.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know what happened to Dayton there, but we'll get him back in a minute, I'm sure. Number 12, the Minnesota Wild trade up 1 pick ahead of the Philadelphia Flyers, who wanted to trade down multiple times, but only traded down the 1 time, to guarantee that they get Zeev Buium, who, to me, how did this guy fall out of the top 10? Talk about Dickinson also falling out of the top 10. Like, how does this guy fall out of the top 10? National champion, world junior champion, and all of a sudden he's 12th overall? He's like, what, the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 defenseman taken in this draft? That is crazy all of a sudden. Like, out of nowhere did I think he was going to be the last of the top tier defensemen taken in this draft.
Yeah, I thought he was going to go higher for sure. Again, he was the world junior player I had on my radar. That was going to be good. Did a phenomenal job and had an incredible past season. So, again, he was definitely someone that I projected to be in that top 10 loop for sure. I mean, man, I was very surprised he went that low.
And, like, maybe this happened. I mean, you have... Let's talk about the college route, right? Where all of a sudden, after 3 years of you staying in college, your eligibility ends. What if Zeev was telling teams no?
Yeah, that's fair enough. Cause you never know.
What are the odds that you come play for us? And he goes, I don't know. Where's your team at? You know, like, I have some wiggle here. I'm a university guy. I can make my choices. So maybe that dropped him on a few teams. Like, maybe they were like, wow, you're really going to throw that weight around instead of be happy about who you get drafted by? I don't know. But obviously Minnesota, who doesn't want to get drafted by Minnesota? Like, Hockey State, all that. Just incredible place to play. We have word that Dayton's Wi-Fi went out, so he's trying to get back on right now. All right, let's just talk about a couple. Let's wrap up just some more surprises. I mean, I heard Konsta going top 5 to top 10. He falls to 14 to Buffalo. Good pick. You can talk about whoever you want as well. But Adam Juracek, David Juracek's younger brother, 16th overall to St. Louis. Tariq Parasak, 17th overall to Washington. Good pick there as well.
Yep.
Last year's, when Bedard got drafted, the early draft rankings for this year, Cole Yzerman was number 2 overall, went 20th overall to the New York Islanders after his current season. Who else we got here? I know lots of guys had their eye on Liam Greentree. Lots of our guys. Dallas wanted him at Colorado, etc. But he goes to the Los Angeles Kings at 26. And really, it was pretty calm. The last pick of the draft was traded for by Edmonton, and they drafted London Knights' Sam O'Reilly, which I thought was a perfect pick. I love that pick.
Great pick. He is a two-way complete player. Absolutely love his game. And a lot of people did not like this pick from what I've seen, but trust me, as a Knights fan, you are going to love this guy. He is absolutely phenomenal, and he's going to be going on a tear next season. He's going to play in the top 6 role, and he's going to be insanely good.
And from what I saw and what I've seen, which is very small sample size, but we're talking about NHL projection Anthony Cirelli. Workhorse like crazy, kind of defensive forward, but still chips in offensively. If I'm hitting that on the head from what I saw.
Yeah.
Okay, let's jump to the second round here. I'm just going to skim through it. For me, kind of a big deal, being from Kamloops, Kamloops Blazers' only player drafted was Harrison Brunicky, second round to the Pittsburgh Penguins. Great job by him this year. He had a great year. He went over. He played at that U18 Halinka tournament and, had obviously a good tournament there. So it really propelled him, I think, from like a fourth rounder to a second rounder. So good to see him going and getting a chance with the Pittsburgh Penguins.
For sure.
And right in front of him, Lane Hutsson's brother, Cole Hutsson, went to the Washington Capitals. I'm surprised Montreal didn't take him. I guess they didn't have a pick, actually. Doesn't look like Montreal had a second-round pick. No. So they lost out on their chance to draft him, but that's unfortunate. But who Dayton really wanted to talk about that they did draft was that they drafted Atos Koivu 70th overall. I want to make sure that gets across because he was really excited for Saku Koivu's son to be drafted by Montreal, where he captained and played for so long. So congratulations to Atos Koivu, and hopefully he has as close of a career to his dad as he can, just like TJ Ginla will attempt to do as well. All right, let's break it down. The day 2 trades, because oh man, they're crazy. Things went crazy on day 2. Nothing really happened on day 1, but day 2 went bonkers. It started off with these guys causing me stress over here. Mikhail Sergachev gets traded to the Utah Hockey Club for Connor Geekie, JJ Moser, 199th overall, and a 2025 second round pick. I still don't know how to feel about this because Tampa Bay's defensive depth for the future just absolutely crashed. We have no defensive prospects in the system, none highly ranked, none that are even close to their core, and we have an aging Victor Hedman and now an aging Ryan McDonough, who they traded for prior to the draft as well, in the Stanley Cup Final still. And I don't know, once Hedman and McDonough are done, who is going to take the team to new heights. Like, there isn't some young guy ready to go. They don't have that option. But what they did get, they got a top 10 pick in Connor Geekie. We haven't had a top 10 pick since Jonathan Drouin in 2013. So we'll see how that goes. We'll see if he works out. I've always found Geekie as maybe a little lazy, super talented offensively, but not so good defensively in his own zone, but we'll find out how he works out. JJ Moser, though, good D. Really like him. Steady, solid, third, second pair type guy. Nothing crazy, but I've always liked Moser since he came over to Arizona. 7th round pick is what it is. They just added those like crazy. And then a 2025 second, like at least they got a higher end draft pick back that they needed. And then they made another trade. And here, well, this is where I want to mock again the Steve Yzerman trade. Like, Steve Yzerman trained Julian Brisebois. Tanner Jeannot was traded for by Tampa Bay for a 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, and Cal Foote. All those assets just for Tanner Jeannot. Then he's overpaid on his like $2.5 million contract that he won in arbitration. And the Lightning get back 118th overall and a 2025 second round pick for one of the worst contract fourth liners in the league and a guy who can't produce. They get actual assets for. Like, again, Yzerman, what are you doing on that Wallman trade?
Yeah, for real.
Man, so many shocking ones. How about what are your thoughts on Logan Thompson requesting a trade out of Vegas, getting sent back to the Washington Capitals, who drafted him for the 83rd overall pick and a 2025 third round pick? So basically,
Did he request a trade?
He requested a trade. He said that him and the team did not have the same vision. And he
Just kind of it kind of gives you deja vu to the Marc-Andre Fleury trade all over again. I mean,
yep.
And the fact that he got traded while he was at a Las Vegas signing is kind of fishy. Kind of fishy.
Yep.
That's kind of, I don't really find it to be classy, but I mean, like I said, it just but Washington got a good goaltender. Thompson's a great goaltender. So
yeah. And we were wondering, with them trading away Darcy Kemper to the Los Angeles Kings for Pierre-Luc Dubois, with them only having Charlie Lindgren, and how shaky that situation is, who was going to be their goaltender? Now we figured it out.
Yep, it was a good move. Very good move.
Veteran trade, Kevin Hayes and a second-round pick goes to the Pittsburgh Penguins for future consideration. So there's another trade where you're trading a guy for future considerations with a second-round pick to take the contract, but Kevin Hayes is in his 30s. Kevin Hayes is not in his prime Jake Wallman, right?
Yeah, and I think
so that would make sense.
Yeah.
Oh, this trade, man. How the Calgary Flames did not get Alexander Holtz in their Jacob Markstrom trade, even with Kevin Ball, is absolutely absurd, because Vegas receives Akira Schmid and Alexander Holtz for only depth forward Paul Cotter and a 2025 third round pick.
Paul Cotter, London Knights legend.
Yeah, but
so many Knights legends and shit.
Oh, they get moved a ton.
Yeah, for real.
But Alexander Holtz, 10th overall pick just a couple years ago, is now being moved for a third round pick or for a depth scorer, whichever one they thought was equal value, and then Akira Schmid is traded for the other one.
That's crazy.
What are we even doing here? Calgary couldn't muster up the assets to get Alexander Holtz back in a trade for Jacob Markstrom? Absolutely insanity to me. I'll never understand it. Toronto made a trade. They acquired the rights to Chris Tanev for a 7th round pick and prospect Max Ellis from the Dallas Stars. And then the Boston Bruins and Minnesota Wild make a trade. Vinny Lettieri and 110th overall pick goes to Boston, and Jacob Lauko and 122nd overall goes to the Minnesota Wild. And then to end things up here, we have our post-draft trades. Just a couple. We have Jake Gensel going to the Tampa Bay Lightning for a 2025 third-round pick, which was huge. I did not see that move coming after the Sergachev trade. Tampa was just spitting out trades like crazy. They were driving me bonkers. I had no idea what was going on. And then the Ottawa Senators are getting clowned as well, just like the Detroit Red Wings, because they trade Jacob Chychrun for aging defenseman on a bad contract in Nick Jensen and a 2026, is that 2026 third round pick. What happened? They just gave up an absolute haul. This is like Pierre-Luc Dubois. They just gave up a haul for him last year to acquire him from Arizona. And 1 year later, he's only worth a third round pick and an aging defenseman to make the cap work?
Fucking crazy.
This year's trades have been absolutely wild. Dubois for a backup goaltender. Chychrun for a third round pick. What is Laine going for? What is Patrick Laine going to be traded for? Future considerations? There's not much value left out there for these guys on high contracts that aren't worth anything.
Right.
And then just today, a trade was made. Robbie Fabry to the Anaheim Ducks with a 4th round pick for Gage Alexander. This trade was just to make it so that Anaheim reached the cap floor because they were below the cap. So now Detroit ships out Robbie Fabry's $4 million. Detroit is obviously still cooking because here they are. Now they're moving out contracts again to get money on the books. So I don't know who they're going for, but they're making moves.
Yzerman has something. He has something
I guess
planned.
actually this trade might have been before they just made their last signing of the day that we were talking about for the exact same money. So we'll talk about that in our free agency special, which is coming up. We want you guys to click that video right now as we're going to finish this one up. But first, we want to say thank you to everyone for watching. As always, Game Day Tarps 2024 NHL Draft Special episode now complete. Once again, thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.